This is part of a larger trend of hostility towards these pro-life, faith-based pregnancy centers. They should be applauded by these attorneys general rather than being targeted for harassment.
Hey, thanks for joining us on this pro-life tour. Our journey takes us to Jamestown, New York, where we get to meet the pregnancy center there, who's doing incredible work to save lives from abortion, but also support the community and support moms and babies as they continue to choose life. But the state of New York does not like what they're doing or any other pregnancy centers in the state of New York, and they're coming after them for, quote, false advertising. I don't know what kind of false advertising they're doing or they're being accused of doing, but all I know is that they are helping women to choose life.
This is one of our counseling rooms / pregnancy test room, and we also do our parenting education in here. We have an RDMS and we have 2 nurse sonographers as well. So we can usually get things covered if we have an ultrasound that needs to be done.
Ooh, this is fun.
Yeah, so all of our items here are donated by local people. Our medical services provider also offers STI testing, so we do limited STI testing here for chlamydia and gonorrhea and treatment as well. We have a boardroom here, and this is also used as a classroom. This is our diaper room. So we work in conjunction with a nonprofit called Every Bottom Covered, and they provide supplemental diapers every month to qualifying individuals. So we have things kind of separate. So this is our Every Bottom Covered, and then we also have items that are just for Options Care Center, and those can be used for the HOPE program, that parenting education. So every time a client comes and they watch a video and do a discussion with one of our advocates, they are earning credits to spend in the baby room that you saw before and on diapers and wipes and things like that. My name is Jessie Anderson. I'm the Executive Director of Options Care Center, and I am so excited to be on this pro-life tour.
What do you do here? What happens here?
The center actually started back in 1985, and it was formed by a group of people who are just really passionate about pro-life issues. About a year later, they saw the need for a pregnancy center and launched it in 1986. I came on board about 5 years ago in 2019 when the previous director retired, and have been here ever since. So we offer pregnancy tests, ultrasound and STI testing through a partnering medical services provider. We have a parenting education program that we call the HOPE program, where our clients can watch videos and earn credits to spend in our baby room. And we also have a program called Surrendering the Secret, which is post-abortion healing. And then we're working on some new curriculum that we're just creating ourselves, and that would be like a miscarriage support group. And we're also launching one called Women of Worth. So we believe that women, it's hard for them to see the value in their unborn child unless they can recognize the value in themselves. And so that's where that idea comes from.
Who do you have with us here on the screen?
We have Gabriella McIntyre from Alliance Defending Freedom.
We are representing Options Care Center and 2 other resource centers in the case that OCC is involved in currently.
Tell us a little bit more about the lawsuit that's coming down the pipe here.
In May, the Attorney General James, she sued 11 faith-based pro-life pregnancy centers and Heartbeat International because of their statements about the safety and efficacy of abortion pill reversal. And she's attempting to censor their speech about this potentially life-saving option, and in doing so, she's preventing women who no longer want to go through with their chemical abortion from even hearing about the option. So our clients, such as Options Care Center, also make those same statements, and so their speech is being chilled because they're all the while at risk of also being targeted for harassment and litigation by the Attorney General, and that's unlawful under the First Amendment.
What's the state of affairs here in New York, and what can be done about that?
I think it's kind of interesting because, across the state, like I said, it's very antagonistic to the pro-life movement. Here in this area, we're in, a small corner of Western New York, and we actually have a lot of support right here in this area. But when we're looking at the larger scale of things, like I said, we see the Attorney General being very antagonistic toward the other pregnancy centers. And so when we see that, we're anticipating that if we're saying the same sort of things, specifically about abortion pill reversal, that she would come to us and try to punish us for that sort of speech as well.
Gabriella, what's this chilling effect, and why is it important for us to talk about that?
Sure. So when you bring a First Amendment claim, particularly on freedom of speech grounds, one of the elements of that claim is showing that your speech has been chilled, or that the plaintiffs are no longer feeling like they are able to actually advocate for and speak about the things that they have a First Amendment right to speak about. And because of the injunctive relief, the restitution, the damages, and the penalties that the Attorney General is seeking against these other pro-life faith-based pregnancy centers, that very much affects the speech and the willingness of the centers that we represent to further that speech, because they are also thinking that they're going to be targeted for harassment and litigation by the Attorney General. And we see this, unfortunately, it's a larger pattern of hostility and targeting of these pro-life pregnancy centers across the nation. We're seeing this in Washington, and we're seeing it in New Jersey and a few other states, as well as New York, where attorneys general are targeting and harassing these pregnancy centers with civil investigative demands, trying to get their donor lists and things of that nature because of their speech and because of their viewpoints on abortion.
What kind of damages would pregnancy centers be looking at if they're successful?
So the Attorney General is particularly seeking injunctive relief, so they would have to stop making those statements. Restitution, civil penalties, so monetary damages, auditing and compliance review, things that would certainly shut most of these pregnancy centers' doors because of the weight of the penalties that she's seeking.
So are they still able to offer the services of abortion pill reversal? And then maybe also the other side is, are they even able to advertise this, or have they actually been able to get injunctive relief?
So currently, the suit that we filed a complaint and a motion for a preliminary injunction. And so that would be able to stop the Attorney General from being able to come after our clients for their statements on abortion pill reversal, but currently there is no ruling on that motion yet. So currently our client's speech is still being chilled. Their statements on abortion pill reversal have been taken down from their websites. But again, this lawsuit is about speech, and so it's about their statements about abortion pill reversal. So if a woman came to one of these centers that we are representing and asked for this life-saving treatment, this potentially life-saving treatment, they would still be free to offer that service to her. Again, this lawsuit is about their statements and their advertising of abortion pill reversal.
So one last question. What implications does this have nationwide?
Yeah, and like I stated earlier, this is part of a larger trend of hostility towards these pro-life, faith-based pregnancy centers, particularly for these attorneys general who are staunch advocates for abortion. They're trying to censor the speech of these pro-life pregnancy centers, and they're also trying to get information from them that will potentially close their doors or potentially stop people from associating with them and stop them from being able to serve their communities in these vital ways. Many women say that they would have chosen not to have an abortion had they known that the material resources and the spiritual resources and just the support were out there from some of these pregnancy resource centers. So they're providing such a vital service to their communities, and particularly men and women facing unplanned pregnancies. So they should be applauded by these attorneys general rather than being targeted for harassment.
Thank you. Thanks, Gabby.
How do you get involved? Why are you involved? Like, what's kind of your pro-life story?
My pro-life story started back when I was in high school. So I was doing a debate in high school, and so I reached out to Choose Life at that time and got some information. That was kind of my first exposure. Several years later, I was teaching English, and I was also writing a book on the side. And so again, there was more research. I was able to get in touch with the director at the time, and she had hooked me up with some post-abortive women to talk about their stories and their experiences. Then if you fast forward to about 2019, we knew that the director was going to be retiring, and they were doing a program, and everybody who was sitting at the table was like, Jesse, you should look into that. And I was like, no, that's a terrible idea. I don't like that idea. And then shortly after, my husband and I had gone out and we had seen the movie Unplanned, and we're sitting at dinner, and he says, I had a dream that he was the executive director. And I said, well, that would be interesting. And he said, no, he says, that was for you, and you need to go and apply for that job. So I was like, oh, really? Like, I was enjoying my time at home with my baby and writing, and just like, I didn't want to go back to work at that time. And so I'd contacted the president of the board and just said, okay, I'm just looking for information on this. And she says, well, we're actually, offering the job to somebody else. And I'm like, yes, I'm out. I did my God duty, I'm out. And then she said, but this person hasn't accepted the job yet. I'll be in touch if something happens. So then the next day I get a call from the president of the board who says the person denied the job. Are you interested? And in the course of about a week and a half from when I had seen the movie and gone out with my husband, and he told me I needed to apply to the job, to the time that they hired me was about a week and a half. So it was like, there was no questioning that this was like a God movement, and it was very clear. And my husband was on board from the very beginning. He's the one that encouraged me to do it. And so that's how I ended up here. It's been a crazy ride.
So what's a good story about some of the successes here?
About a year ago, we had an abortion-minded woman, and she came in, and after working with us, after a pregnancy test, ultrasound, some support counseling, she chose life for her baby. And then, sometimes they kind of drop off a little bit. So she stopped in about 2 months ago, and she brought us the lovely plant that's in by the door, and it's a balloon that says thank you, and her 6-month-old baby. So I came out, and she gave me a huge hug, and she said, he wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. So that was probably the best day of all 5 years of working here, just to have somebody come back and be here. We hear it sometimes through the grapevine, but to have her come back and really have been touched enough to come and say thank you, that was really cool.
I'm with Cougars for Life, which operates under Students for Life of America. We started around 2 years ago now. We're still working on getting board approved. That's kind of happening right now at the moment, but I am leaving now, so going off to college, so the president will be re-voted on.
Tell me the process. How do you get started?
So with Students for Life of America, they actually have what are called regional coordinators who will do Zooms with you, in-person meetings, phone calls to kind of guide you through the process. And they give you all the paperwork that you need. It depends on what school you're at. They kind of have different rules for starting clubs. So with mine, I simply had to go to the Dean of Students and say, hey, I want to start this club. How do I go about doing this? And really the only thing we needed was a set number of members, and then we just had to start meetings. And so after we were operating for about a year, they were allowed to, we could put in our information and then they could vote on it at the school board meeting. And so we actually, in that year that we were waiting to be an official group, we actually had quite a bit of backlash from the school board. And so we had been putting up posters just saying, hey, we're having meetings, come to this room after school on this day. And they were being torn down, and we had the school board telling us we couldn't associate with the school, we couldn't have the name on there, even when there were other clubs that were quite controversial doing the same exact thing. So we had a lot of issues making this a club because of what the school board was doing, but we've kind of pushed through that and are looking to become an official club.
So what kind of successes have you had with your student group?
Some of the biggest successes we've had are fundraising, helping Options Care Centers so that they can help more women. But also we've been able to just really grow the group, and that's been cool to see, just getting more people involved and more people excited to speak out.
Did you guys go to the March for Life? Or?
So I went to the March for Life with my mom and then one other member. The first time I went, I had kind of hinted to my mom that I really wanted to go to this. I wanted to go to the Pro-Life Summit, and that's really where I first became involved with Students for Life of America. And it was just super inspiring. I mean, to see all those people at the march, and then the next day at the summit, we got to hear people like Kristen Hawkins, like the founder of Students for Life of America, all these pro-life legislators that would talk, and it was just really cool to learn all those things in one day, and it was just so inspiring.
What do you say to those students who don't see it the way you do?
So unfortunately, we do see that a lot. We have a social media for our group, and we do get a lot of backlash on there. We're just trying to speak truth, and whether you agree with it or not, like, it's important to be respectful, and I think that our group does a good job of, you know, being respectful and seeing where people are coming from, and unfortunately, a lot of times we don't get that from the other side.
What do you say to other students who are thinking, I'm pro-life, but I don't know, it seems so hard, and that's a lot of paperwork, or it's a lot of just work? What do you say to them?
It's so worth it, and we need young people. Like my mom said, like, there needs to be that next generation. We're seeing that, but there needs to be that next generation to cover all the places that eventually these people will retire, and we need people to do it. So it's important for us to get involved, and it is so worth it when you hear all these stories of minds being changed, women being empowered to choose life, and babies being saved. It's just so, those wins, the little wins, are just so encouraging.
And so for those young people who are watching our Pro-Life Tour series, continue to get involved, get engaged, do something, even something small. Thanks for being on this Pro-Life Tour. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you at prolifetour.com.